I miss picking raspberries and go to the playground every morning. Miss all the countryside and nature, and you can go into the forest there and you can pick blackberries and stuff.
The first thing that I miss about living in England is the weather. Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. Now in today's video I want to go through some of the things that I miss about living back home in England. Now the reason I want to make this video is because over the past few months our channel, our videos have been focused on some of the positive aspects of living in China, right? Because I know that there's a lot of misconceptions about China, about how it is here really to live here, how life is for people here, how the environment is, etc. We have a lot of positive things to say about it, and that's just genuinely how we feel, hence why we've lived here for so long, right? But that's not to say that everything is perfect. And also there's a lot of things that we miss, or at least I miss especially, about life in England. And in this video I'm going to show you the top 5 things that I really miss about home. So stick around and see my top 5. And before we get into the video, I would love to ask you, if you like this content, please subscribe, give this video a thumbs up. And now without further ado, let's go into the video. The first thing that I miss about living in England is the weather. No, seriously, the first thing I miss about living in England is nature. Now, that might sound kind of strange as I stroll around here in this beautiful park here in Shenzhen. And whilst it's true that Chinese cities have some beautiful green spaces. For example, Shenzhen is blessed with numerous great parks. Is it nature? Really? No, it's not nature. These are all man-made parks. They're all paved. Yeah, they have grass, but oftentimes you're not allowed to go on the grass. And, you know, in England, you're never more than, at least in the north of England where I'm from, you're never more than 10-15 minutes from an actual wild stretch of land. I'm talking about fields, meadows, forests, you know, exploring, getting lost, going into streams, climbing up hills. And that connection with nature is something that I really miss. And also when I go to England, Dee Dee and Freddie, for example, they just love to go into the forest and explore. And you just cannot replicate that here in China, in a city at least, because it's really kind of an urban jungle. As I say, despite the fact that they have numerous great parks, it's not really nature. And yeah, sure, China has like wilderness areas, but you're going to have to get on an aeroplane, you're going to have to fly to the, you know, for example, to the west of China, and you know, you're not going to be doing that on a weekend, right? Whereas in the UK, like I said, you're just always close to nature. You can access it really easily. There's no guards telling you that you can't walk on the grass, that you can't take your dog here, you can't walk up this mountain. And yeah, that's just something that I really miss about England. Hey Dee Dee.
Yeah?
What do you miss about England?
I miss all the countryside and nature, and you can go into the forest there and you can pick blackberries and stuff. I miss my grandma and granddad and cousins.
Okay, the next one is old stuff. York Minster, Lincoln Cathedral, South Kirby Church, Hadrian's Wall. England has so much, so many historical buildings, sites of historical importance. Just seeing them, just seeing that awesome architecture, spires and cathedrals and gargoyles and beautiful streets. And when I go home and visit, it's like my heart aches. I don't see it anymore and I really miss it. and really enjoy seeing it again. I appreciate it actually more and more each time I go back, and the longer I stay away, the more I appreciate it. Now, of course, China has its own historical sites, its own architectural wonders. But if you go to a city like Shenzhen, where I live, there's really not hardly any trace of architecture from many years ago, let alone centuries ago. If you came to Shenzhen, you'd have no idea that it had any history beyond 1980. But it's same in many Chinese cities. You just don't get that same sense of architectural wonder that you get in England. Like I said, there's churches everywhere, there's stone walls, cobbled streets. You know what I'm talking about. That kind of stuff is really neat. I really love it. I miss that when I'm in China. Let's go into, I think this one is number 3 of the things that I miss the most about living in the UK. Now this one might be a little bit of a strange one. You might not have seen this one coming, but it is charity shops. Now, you know, as you can see, I have kind of my own clothing style. And when I was in the UK, pretty much most of my clothes and stuff that I wear, accessories and so on, would come from charity shops or vintage stores. Charity shops I like better because you can go into them, and there's a lot in England. Every town has, you know, a number of them, and you can find like really fun and cool clothing items, accessories, books, things for your home, stuff like that. And it's not really a question of it being cheaper or anything like that. It's not a question of cost. It's just fun to go in the charity shops, and I always get really cool stuff. And that's just what I've always done since I was, you know, 18-year-old, when I was buying my own clothes or whatever. And here in China, they do not have any charity shops. People want to buy new stuff, you know, they think that wearing the second-hand clothes is gross, is dirty or something like that. Now, some cities do have some vintage stores, like there's I think I've been to some in Beijing and in Dali and Shanghai, but they're really small and they're really expensive, so it's kind of like not very interesting. But the ones in the UK can be big and they're just full of stuff. And I even remember when I first came to China, I was like worried. The first day I was thinking, man, where am I gonna buy clothes? You know, only store I see is like an Adidas store or some like grandpa store. But since then I've learned how to find, you know, at least some cool clothes that I can accept, usually on TAOBAO, and I can find some pretty cool stuff. But I mean, I miss just on a weekend, just like spending a few hours going around the charity shops, you know, having a coffee, hanging out, buying some records, some LPs, that kind of stuff. And like I said, they don't have that culture here at all. They're not interested in the second-hand clothing. When we go to Thailand, for example, or Philippines, they have really a good second-hand clothing scene, and we always stock up and go and have a look. And we usually come home from China with some cool jackets, you know, some hats and funky stuff like that. Go to the flea market. So yeah, I miss that kind of charity shop culture, vintage culture, which is so prevalent in the UK. They do not have it here in China. Hi, Freddie.
Hi.
Freddie, what do you miss about England?
I miss picking raspberries and go to the playground every morning. And I also miss my cousins, like having sleepover every now and then.
All right, Freddie, thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
See you later.
See you later.
Now, the next one on my list is culture. Now, when I'm talking about culture, I don't mean, you know, like history or language and things like that. I just mean like the ability, for example, to go and see a movie. When we were living in England, Ursula and I would go to the movies all the time. We both love watching horror movies, for example, and we'd catch them all on the big screen. There's so many cinemas, there's so much choice. Does China have cinemas? Of course they have, but they do not have a good selection of Western movies, American movies, English movies, and so on. Sure, you're gonna be able to get, you know, the Marvel movies, Pixar movies, you know, So we take Dee Dee and Freddie to the cinema to see movies like that, but they don't have, like, you know, horror movies. You know, we don't have things like that coming to the cinemas here. And I do miss being able to regularly go to the movie theater, because like I say, it's something that we really used to do a lot. And also, while I'm on this point, same thing goes for example, catching some live music. You know, as you may know, I perform music here as well as DJ. So yeah, you can go see bands, but you cannot compare. You know, in Sheffield, in Manchester, in London, on any given night, you have so much choice in terms of going to see a rock band, an indie band, going to a club to listen to some DJs, listen to some dance music. You know, you really spoiled for choice. Again, same thing goes with going to see a comedian. You know, you have all of the big comics will come through England, right? And you're going to be able to go see them. Same thing goes for going to the theater. Sure, Chinese has their own theater scene, but as a foreigner, I can't connect with it because I don't speak the language well enough. So it's kind of my bad in a way. It's limited from a foreign perspective, things that you can do culturally with your family or as a couple, things that we used to do all of the time in the UK. We have less opportunity to do that here in China. Although I will say we saw the Strokes the back end of last year, but that was in Hong Kong. Yeah, okay, Hong Kong has more international acts coming through when they come through to Asia, but China's like a little bit of a tricky place for international bands, comics and so on to come and visit and perform in, which is a shame when you're a foreigner here living in China. Okay guys, this is the last thing on my list, and it is the British sense of humor. You know, England has a very dry and sarcastic kind of humor, right? And I'm missing that. When I go back to the UK, just little conversations you have with the pub landlord or the lady in the store, or just some guys on the street when you're in the pub outside or something, just little tidbits, little humorous observations and, you know, sarcastic comments really brighten your day and give you a little chuckle. And because I don't speak enough Chinese to be able to really like joke around so much with Chinese people, which again is my bad. You know, of course Chinese people have good sense of humor too, but I'm unable to show my wit and show my observations with them because of the language barrier. And yeah, sure, I have some expat friends, I have British friends, Italian, German, and we can crack jokes, and I can kind of try and recreate that kind of rich, jokey, pally sense of humor that I have, that I slip immediately back into when I go back with my friends and family in the UK and strangers too. But yeah, I have to say that I do miss the British sense of humor. So guys, that brings us to the end of this video, and you may be wondering why I missed off family and friends. Well, that one goes without saying. I mean, missing family and friends is of course the ultimate #1 thing you miss. So I didn't include that one in the video. I wanted to share some maybe less expected reasons and things that I miss about the UK. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.